Okay, so 1-5 is officially the most boring stage in all of World 1. It's the first auto-scroller in the game, and if you're not familiar with auto-scrollers, it's basically the stage moves at its own pace, and you cannot control how fast that is. There are stages in this game where you can skip the auto-scroll trigger and make the stage faster, but unfortunately this is not one of those stages. We are forced to sit through every second of the auto-scroll, and but it's okay because it's part of the game and we just have to learn to deal with it, and there are some little bit of fun, some fun things we can do in the stage to make it a little bit more enjoyable. But anyway, let's just dive right in here. So right off the bat, kind of come over to the left of this little flower thing right here. I turn around and I throw some neutrals and they bounce off. They bounce here and then you can recatch them as red eggs. I stop about right here. I turn around and I throw my neutrals and then I recatch them as red eggs. You don't have to do this here, but you do want to end up with 6 red eggs as you're passing the mid ring in the stage. So I don't care where you make your red eggs, just find wherever's comfortable for you. Make your red eggs and make sure you end up with 6 before the when you're passing the mid ring. So I just opt to do it right here because it's easier. I do it 4 times. So there's 2 red coins here that you want to make sure you have to get. There's a flower. There are 2 red coins on this pinwheel, a flower, and 2 red coins on this pinwheel. So you want to make sure you get all of that and don't miss any of it. You're going to see me jumping around erratically. That is just not required at all. It's a speed run, and so my hands are not comfortable if they're not moving all the time. So with auto scrollers, I'm going to be moving a lot. I bounce around a lot. Just bounce off the walls just because I like to keep my hands busy. So if you're seeing me do things like bounce off the walls, swap a bunch of eggs, I mean, none of that stuff is required whenever I feel like an egg swap or egg shuffling or egg swapping is a required thing. You'll hear me stop and explain it. But anyway, I bounce around a lot because I like to keep my hands moving. And again, like I said, I shuffle some eggs here, not required. Just like to keep my hands moving. Just take this pinwheel. You're gonna ride this pinwheel all the way across because there's 2 coins right here, and there's also a red fly guy here, with a red coin floating right here. And it's worth noting that in this stage, my egg order is important. At least to me, it's important to everybody, but depending on how you do your eggs, it's just gonna vary. But if you're opting to follow this, my egg order is important right now. I have eggs 1 and 2 are green eggs, and eggs 3, 4, 5, and 6 are red eggs. And I want to keep it that way until I make the last 2 red eggs. So what I do is I jump up, I grab this guy, and I don't swallow him because I don't want to mess up my egg order. I just grab him and I spit him to the left or right, however you want to do it. Just spit him out. Don't make an egg out of him. Grab the red coin and then come back down here and get the flower. Okay, so 1-5 is incredibly boring, except this section right here. This is not required at all. This is not even a little bit required. It's just a little bit of swag to make the level a little bit more fun to watch for your viewers. It's just not required. But I'm going to explain it real quick anyway, just because it's fun, and the guys in the Discord were like, make sure you include the clip because it's super important. Obviously, they're kidding. It's not super important, but it is super fun. So you want to jump up and land on this green thing. If you land on the brown here, just forget it and keep going. It's not important. But if you want to do this, you land right there. And it looks like the screen is going to scroll and then smash you like it does in every other Mario game, but it doesn't actually do that. As long as you're ducking when the screen pushes you through, it will clip you all the way through here. You'll kind of come across and it'll push you out right here. So one thing you want to make sure you're doing is that you don't want the screen to catch up with you, because if you're pushing the wall like that when you're in the wall, I think it actually will kill you. So you just kind of don't push a direction, and when you're getting ready to be pushed out of here, you just hold B to buffer a flutter, and then you're done. So again, not required, but fun, and it's certainly a lot of fun to watch. So again, I have eggs 1 and 2 are green, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are red. So I don't want to mess that up. I grab this daisy, I spit him up into the star cloud, get the stars, and then you will see me turn around and do a ricochet shot right here. The egg will it'll bounce here and then it'll bounce off the ground and I'll recatch it as a red egg. So I'll have egg 1 as a green egg and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as red eggs. Again, not super exciting through here. There's another daisy. I don't eat him. I don't swallow him. I just spit him into the flower. Okay, and you want to make sure right here that you're up on this section early enough because you're going to use this section right here to finish however many green eggs you have. This is where you're going to turn them all into reds. So you jump up here. You want to run all the way up to this wall and face to the left. Continue facing to the left. Don't face to the right. That's super important. Face to the left, and then what I do is I go ahead and look up just to prepare to throw an upshot. And as soon as you see this incline, or this little slant here, again, make sure Yoshi is facing left. Push up an A to throw your upshot. It will bounce at a right angle. Go over here and hit a solid vertical wall and bounce back, in which you can tongue it right here. I only had to do that one time because I only had one green egg. You can do this up to 3 or 4 different times depending on how early you get up here. You just want to make sure you're turning all your green eggs into red eggs in enough time so that the screen doesn't scroll up and then kill you. So anyway, do that. Turn all your greens back into reds and keep going. So there's a mid ring here. You can take it. Again, nobody's going to judge you. Nobody's going to call you less of a speedrunner for taking this. Because if you're a new runner and you die anywhere in 1.5 without taking that mid-ring, essentially that's run over. And you're only like 10 minutes into the run so far out of like a 2.5 or 3 hour run. So it's not a huge deal if you want to reset here. But, why reset if you don't have to? But if you're afraid of dying past this mid-ring, go ahead and take it. That way, if you die, you'll start right here. The only thing that really sucks is with the mid ring, if you die, here you will start here with no eggs, and that can be a little weird. So the best practice to get into for 1.5 is just to skip this mid ring and just make sure you don't die. And it's also worth noting that when you jump into a mid ring, if you have any less than, if you are like if you're at 20 stars or less, you will be in that mid ring as it's ticking for a total of 80 frames. Each tick of the star counter is 8 frames. And that's just the ticks. I'm not sure of the time it takes for the mid ring to disappear or if there's any added frames at the end of that. But anyway, that's just a little explanation of the mid ring here. We skip it because it's slow. Anytime you jump into a mid ring, it stops the auto scroller from scrolling completely. That's why it wastes time. So anyway, skip the mid ring. There's some red coins and a flower here. You want to make sure you grab all of those. There's going to be another red coin in between 4 yellow coins here. You want to make sure you get that right here. And then a fly guy is going to come in right here, carrying a star cloud. So you want to jump up and up tongue him in such a way that you tongue him close to you. That way, you both get him in your mouth and you get all 5 stars at the same time. It's a little bit tricky to do at first. I'd practice it a little bit. It's easier to tongue those fly guys with the stars closer to you if you're coming in at them from the left or the right. It can be a little tricky when you do it by up tonguing, but it's still possible. You want to up tongue him and get all the stars, and because my eggs are still important here, if you were to swallow him, you would end up with 5 red eggs and 1 green egg. You would waste a red egg. What you want to do is just spit him out. And again, for this route, what we do here with this route is you want to throw 2 red eggs at this guy, 1 to knock the petals off of him, and then 2 to kill him, and that'll give you 4 stars. Get the 4 stars. There's another red coin here. Make sure you get that. And then there's a star cloud right above the point of this rock. What I do is I stand right on the point. Doesn't matter where you stand, just as long as your upshot will hit the cloud. I throw the upshot and then immediately start hovering right where the star cloud is, just so I don't miss anything. And then immediately, since I used, I am now at 3 red eggs. I go ahead and eat these 2 guys and swallow them and make eggs out of them. And you'll see me, I accidentally swap eggs too early here, so I have to do some extra swapping to make sure my eggs are where I want them. But the gist of it with this route is that I finished the stage with eggs 1, 2, and 3 being green eggs, and eggs 4, 5, and 6 being red eggs. So I had to do a little bit of extra swapping here to make sure that I would get that order. So after you get the eggs in the right order, I hover over here. There's a lot of different ways you can get this flower, really. You can actually stand here and bonk on the foam here and break it, and then do another flutter to just grab it. Normally, that's actually the safer route than the ground pound method I'm about to do. So if you do the ground pound method, and again, I spit that guy because I don't want to mess up my egg order now, since it's back to where it's kind of a static thing. I don't want to mess it up. If you do decide to do the ground pound method, you want to make sure you're pounding to the left of this foam enough to where you land on this donut. Because if you pound directly over the flower, you're going to go straight into the pit and you're going to die. So just make sure you don't do that. And your last 5 red coins are right here. It doesn't really matter how you get them, just don't die. And the bonus skip is totally free here. You want to make sure that when you're getting on the goal platform that you are pushing to the right to get up onto the screen. And what I do is as soon as that, let me back up to this a little bit. As soon as this flower on the goal ring is loaded onto the stage, right as soon as it is, I jump up. And the most important part here is to make sure that when you jump up and you're fluttering against the edge of the screen, that you are not holding any more direction on the D-pad. If you hold direction here, it affects Yoshi's speed and you will get a bonus every time. So when you jump up to start fluttering against the edge of the screen, which is how you do this, you flutter against the edge of the screen. You want to make sure you're in the fluttering animation when you pass through. But the most important thing to note is that I'm not holding any direction here. And that's it. Again, not too terribly exciting. So autoscrollers are boring, but they're part of the game, so we definitely have to play them and we have to cover them. So anyway, I will rewind this, let it play out, and then we'll move on to 1.6.